All right, there, people. I want to continue more with the Hebrew nouns. Basically, we went into gender. We went into exceptions where certain nouns appear to be of one gender, but they are the other, etc. And we also went into examples of the shvana and the shvanach. And let me now continue with some other concepts. There is in Hebrew what's known as a duality noun. A duality noun is a noun which has the last syllables a patach, a let's get it down correctly, a yud, and then a chirik mem. My green pen is not writing well. Let's try the blue one. These are known as duality nouns. They are also known as segulate nouns. A segulate noun plays upon the word segol. So, for example, I have the following example. The word yeled. Let's hope the pen writes right now. The word yeled. The plural of this word yeled is the word yiladim. It follows the marker of a shva, a kamatz, a chirik yud mem. So let's exclude this. The ending is, make sure I got it right, yiladim, yes. A kamatz, a chirik yud mem. Well, let's get it better. All right, let's just get it this way. Well, let's just write out the word yiladim. Yiladim. Okay. A kamatz, a chirik yud mem. That's what I should write. Okay, this is the marker of a so-called segulate noun. A segulate noun are nouns where the last syllable ends with a segol, and in the case of yeled, the word ends with two segols, the segol, the second to last syllable, and the last syllable itself. Again, mentally go through the syllabication. The word yeled is a short vowel. It is not closed by a shva that follows on the next letter, and so you assume the syllable is open. It's irregular and therefore gets the accent. Yeled, yeled, not yeled. The second syllable is a short vowel close, which is regular for a short vowel. But the important thing is the plural is not a chirik yud mem added. It is this combination: a shva, a kamatz, a chirik yud mem, yiladim. Other examples of segulate nouns. An example of sefer. Sefer. If you look at that word sefer, the word ends with a segol, the last syllable. The syllable before is not a segol, but it's sere. But the plural has the combination, the shva, the kamatz, chirik yud mem. So the plural of the word sefer is not seferim, but sifarim. Again, it's important to know this because there are many nouns that fall into what's called the segulate category. And the third type of segulate noun is the word boker, for example. The word boker. Boker is a segulate noun, which is a cholam followed by the segol. The plural of the word boker is not bokerim, but bikarim, bikarim. So let's just do it this way. Words that end with two segols. Words that end with sere segol. Words that end with cholam segol. As you see my examples on the board, all will have the plural of a shva, a kamatz, a chirik yud mem. These are masculine segulate nouns. And then the word that comes to mind is a word that we saw before the break, and that's that word chetef. Remember the word chataf, and then chetef, chetef, a word which the instructor learned for the first time as I was checking the dictionary this morning. The word chetef, 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 a robber, not to be confused with chataf. Well, chetef follows the rules of the seglet. It looks just like the word yeled. The plural of the word chetef for robbers is not chetefim, it's hatafim. Notice how I'm spelling that word. I have the comments chirik yud mem, and then you'll notice for the plural it should be a shvana, right? Like yiladim, like sifarim, like bikarim. So why don't I write chetafim? Well, of course, the first letter is laryngeal. Laryngeals cannot take a shvana. But the argument should be, if the original sound is an air, should it not be a hataf sagol that should take over? It should be chetafim and not hatafim. That's the logic. You go to the original sound. To have a doubt about whether it's hetafim or hatafim, I'm going to double check the dictionary. The dictionary could also be an error, but let's just double check what the dictionary has for the plural of the word chetef. First thing is you check out the proper spelling. I'm able to see here. Just bear with me. Again, keep in mind my dilemma. If the original sound is chetef, it should really be chetafim. It takes a few moments for me to find these letters here. Okay, we're getting close to it. I'm looking at the word chetef is correctly spelled, and the plural is chatafim with a chataf patach on the chet. So what do you make of that, Mr. Garber? Don't make of that. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But again, the logic should be a chataf segol. And again, it follows that rules of the kamatz kirik yud mem, but the chet letter cannot take a shvana. So the plural is chatafim. I doubt very much if 90% of the Israeli public knows the word chatafim.
What do they say?
Excuse me?
What do the Israeli public say in general? Instead of pronouncing hatafim?
If they're not going to use chatafim, or they just don't use this word. They probably use ganav and the word gazlan, a thief and a robber. A ganav is one who's a professional robber. A gazlan is less in seriousness.
Opportunity more?
Could be, And then the word ganav. We'll get to that word in a second, as long as we're bringing it up. But before I go to any other words, these are the masculine segulets. You also have feminine segulet nouns. And let me see if we can put that on the board right now. All right, remember, we'll just stay with the masculine ones, the forms that we have here. Okay, when we see a feminine segulet, we'll play with that as well. Okay, that's one thing here. The notion, of course, of duality. And then when you take a look at some of this, no, that's better what I can say about it. Okay, the so-called duality. Yeah, duality nouns. I now know what I'm talking about. Duality nouns, such as parts of the body which occur in pairs. If you think for a moment, different parts of a body, such as the word ozen, the word for ear, and oznaim is the plural of that word. Let's write out that word ozen. Here you have the word ozen. Notice how I spell it, ozen, with a chataf, with a half cholam, with a cholam chaser. I want to now say the word in the plural, that cholam becomes a short kamatz. I add my marker of duality. It's not a segulet noun. What I'm citing now are duality markers. A word ending with a patach, yud chirik mem, is duality.
But one question was, so you're saying the segulet nouns were masculine and you were mentioning something about feminine?
Yeah, no, I'm correcting myself right now. Segulet nouns, as we see them, are masculine of these three types. Then what I did was to show the plural of a segulet noun, such as yelad, yeladai. The plural ends with Let's take the word Yiladim. It ends with a shva, a kamatz, a chirik yud mem. The word sefer is not seferim, it's sifarim. The word boker is bikarim. So think about secular nouns. What makes it unusual is the sego phenomenon. And secondly, the plural is a shva, a kamatz, a chirik yud mem. And what I should have done was to make a distinction. What I'm doing now are words that end with a patak yud chirik mem, not necessarily secular nouns. These are markers of a duality now. They're not segulars, so let me make that correction. So words that end with the patak yud chirik mem has to deal with two-ness, Twoness, and parts of the body fit perfectly. Take the word ozen to make it plural. The media cholam reduces to a short kamatz, closed by the shvanach and the letter that follows the kamatz. That's a short vowel, it's not medial. The accent is over the patak, second to last syllable. And the last syllable is a CVC of yim. So words that have a duality marker will have the accent not on the last syllable, but second to last syllable. Oznaim is the word for ears. Take the word for eye. Ayin is the word for eye. Einayim, notice the marker. The patak, the yud, the chirik, the mem, eyes. Yad is hands. Yadayim is represents the word hands. Yadayim.
I thought Anayim was people. Or is that different?
People? No.
What is people?
Amim is people.
Oh.
Regel, take the word regel, the word for foot. And here you have an interesting word. Languages, as much as you think you know it, gets even more confusing. I have the word regel on the board. And let me say this right now. Words of the body that occur in pairs are feminine words. That word regel is not masculine. What are you talking about? I'm making the statement. Nouns or parts or appendages or limbs of the body which occur in pairs are feminine. Regel, if you mean by that word foot, is feminine. Feet is raglayim. The word looks masculine. The word given is part of the body in pairs, feminine. The duality marker is there, raglayim. Again, the patach, the accent is there. First syllable is CVC, closed by the shvanach. Dominant a patach, open syllable, has to be accented. But then there's another meaning of the word regel, and its plural is regalim. Regalim looks like the siglet, right? Yeled, Yiladim, Sefer, Sifarim, Boker, Bikarim. This regel is regalim. What's going on here? And there's where that word regel has a double meaning. It could mean feet, or it could mean pilgrimage holiday. There are three regalim: Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot.
Because people had to walk to at
Yes, you have to walk. It's a pilgrimage. The question is, if regel raglayim is feminine, is the word regel for regalim also feminine? Or is the word treated like a masculine word like it appears? I'm going to double check to see if Mr. Dictionary makes any effort to show the distinction between the two. My feeling is that regalim, meaning pilgrimage, we treat it as a masculine noun. The word rego, meaning feet, part of the body, is going to be feminine. Let me work with my hunch. Let me see what the dictionary has to offer, if it's going to offer anything. All right, I see the word rego. I see the word regalim. I see the word raglayim. And the word foot, leg is translated. And the other word translation is festival. So Mr. Dictionary, following Ben Yehuda, has the right translations: festival for rego regalim, and foot or feet for raglayim. And then it says nekeva raglayim rabim. All right, the word rego in both cases. Okay. The word is treated as feminine. Parts of the body in pairs, not a question. But rego, meaning pilgrimage, also is seen as feminine. Let me make this lesson to everybody. The professor knows more Hebrew than most. And yet, do you see how I hesitated? How I was able to make a distinction for myself? But it's not necessarily the proper distinction. And a good example of a word that looks so masculine is feminine all the way through. Okay, I think we've covered the so-called duality marker. Yes, we have. Well, let's give another example. The word yom, for example. Yom, the Hebrew word for day. And again, the examples I'm citing deal with problems in translation. The word yom is the word for day. The word yam is the word for sea, S-E-A, not S-E-E. The plural of the words yom and yam. Yam, the plural is yamim. Notice I put a dot in that mem. We have not seen the so-called dot words yet. And the word yom, the plural is yamim. In sound, they sound the same. Yamim, yamim. In writing, it's different. This is with a kamatz, this is with a patach, and a dagesh chazak in the mem. How would you know? You would not know. And if you write without vowels, you certainly cannot tell the difference. They're both written the same. They both are written the same way. That's confusion number one. And the word yom itself, when it comes to 2 days, yomayim. We say yomayim. Again, the duality marker. Yomayim. Yamim, yamim. It's the sentence context, whether you can tell it's the word seas, the plural of the word S-E-A, or days. Let's take another word. The word shavua. 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 As I break it into syllables, CV. Second syllable looks like CV. It looks like CV. That's because we don't know more Hebrew. The second syllable has a patach on the last letter laryngeal. When you see a last letter laryngeal, namely the aleph letter, the ayin letter, the chet letter, the hey letter, no. If there's a patach under the last letter aleph, ayin, or chet, it's called the stolen patach. The stolen patach. It's not really a vowel. It's a way in which you say the word. You don't read the word as shavua. You say shavua. You sound the ah before the last letter. So it's hard to hear that distinction with the letter chet. But if I have the word ruach, for example, the word for wind or spirit, you could hear me say ruach, ruach. I'm saying the word like this. I'm pronouncing the patak before the last letter. Do I write that patak under the last letter? It's called a stolen patak. It's not a vowel. It's just a sound that said if the last letter is laryngeal head, preceded by a frontal vowel.
We got 10 minutes, so whatever we want to do,
Okay.
10 minutes.
All right, that word shavua. Let's just look at that word shavua. To break it into proper syllables, watch what I'm about to do. I'm going to have a CV for my first syllable, and my second syllable is CVC with a following note that patak is not part of the word. It's an expression of the sound, a glide. Stolen patak is called the patakanuv. Or I should say patakanuva. What about that word patak? Is it masculine or feminine? It's patakanuv. It's masculine. The word shavua. The root of that word is the word shin bet ayin, the Hebrew word for seven. And so 7 days make up a week. The word week in English spelled W-E-E-K, not W-E-A-K. So there's a connection between the two. If you work every day of the week and don't take a break, you are weak after a while. So take your break on Shabbat. That's going into some kind of interpretation. That word shavua. And I guess what I'm trying to do now is show you the syllabication and then the plural shavuayim. Shavuayim or shavuayim. I add my marker, the patak yud mem, for 2 weeks. I say to myself, should it not be shavuayim? And if it's so, it should be CV, CV. And if patak with the ayin is CV, so 1, 2, 3 syllables. The patak short vowel open gets accented, and the fourth syllable is CVC, the yud to mem. But if memory serves it correctly, the word kamatz is either accented or one place removed from the accent. The kamatz cannot be two places removed from the accent. Shivu ayim. Is 2 weeks. The kamatz reduces to a shvana. It cannot be 2 places removed from the accent, which is over the ayin with a short patach. Shvuayim. And yet we have an exception. The holiday, one of the 3 regalim, one of the 3 pilgrimage holidays called Pentecost in English. Shavuot. Notice I'm saying Shavuot. Notice I'm not saying Shivuot.
I'm saying Shavuot.
Shavuot, say what you want. Shavuot. There's a reason for this pronunciation. The word Shavuot is a long kamatz. Shivuot is the Hebrew word for weeks. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, Shavuot. But the holiday has the kamatz in place, which implies that the kamatz is playing the role of a long kamatz. Shavuot. Again, the same thing as the word regalim and ragalim, and regalim. Okay, stay with that word. Okay. All right, I think that covers what we want to say about the particular additional information. Markers of duality, the kamatz, whether it's long or it's medium or short, and so it goes on. Words are masculine, feminine, etc. All right, there's one other concept. The letters which have dots in them. There are 6 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The bet letter, the gimel letter, the daled letter, the kaf letter, the pei, and the tav. If these 6 letters begin a word, you will have a dagesh placed in the letter. Israeli Hebrew doesn't make that consistent. The gimel, the dalet, and the tav, these 3 letters, Israeli Hebrew does not have a distinctive sound to them. And so they don't bother with those 3 letters. The other letters they do. The bet letter, if it doesn't have a dot, will be a vet sound. The kaf letter will be a chaf letter. The pei letter will be a fei letter. So 3 of the 6 Israeli Hebrew makes a distinction. The other 3 it does not. For Hebrew grammar, all 6 are treated the same way. You begin a word with any of the 6 what they're known as megakefal letters. You put a dagesh. It's called a slight dot. Let's write out that word right now. The word dagesh. Notice how I'm spelling that word. Dagesh, I'm putting a dot in that letter.
That's not the Gesh Hazak. There's a distinction of the Geshes.
We're not with the dagesh hazak yet. This is dagesh kal, the so-called light dot. Notice the gimel is one of the 6 letters. There's no dot in it. How come? If the begakefal letter begins a word, always a dot. If the begakefal letter in the middle of the word follows a shvan nach, same thing as saying following a consonant, you'll have a dagesh. The gimel is following a vowel here, so it does not have the so-called light dot. If this were a short vowel, it will have the other dot called dagesh hazak, which we're not there yet. So the 6 letters, if they begin a word, dagesh kal. In the middle of the word, if they follow a shvanah, they'll have a dagesh in it. And let's try to think of a word that has that. Following a shvanah. Sometimes when you think for words, they're hard to think of. Oh, the word simcha. No, I need to have a bigger careful letter. All right, when we see it, we'll call your attention. All right, that's one dot. The other dot in the Hebrew is called dagesh hazak, the so-called strong dot. The strong dot is found in all letters of Hebrew, with the exception of the 4 laryngals, the Aleph, the Ayin, the Hey, the Chet, and the letter Resh. And the purpose of the strong dot is to double the letter in which it's found to close the vowel before, which is short. So how do we figure this out? To have a closed syllable in Hebrew, the letter that follows the short vowel has a shvan nach under it, or will have a dagesh hazak in it. So if I have the word simcha, and notice I'm writing the letter sin, when I write the sin letter, I put the dot in. When I write the shin letter, I don't bother to mark it as a shin, because of the frequency of this marker. The word for joy. Notice how I'm spelling it. The mem letter has a shva under it. That's all I need. It's CVC, the chirip enclosed by a shva under the letter which follows a short vowel. And the second syllable, CV, when the word ends with the letter hey, it's normally a vowel marker rather than a true consonant. So we put the C in brackets. And then you take the word Igeret, for example. See that olive? See the chirp that follows it? Short vowel. And now look at the gimel. I have a dot in that gimel. It's not the light dot, which is with the letter begins the word or follows the shvanah. This gimel is following a vowel. The vowel is short, the gimel therefore is being doubled. It's like it's two gimels. It's like rewriting a word like this, ig, and then starting the next syllable like this. The gimel is being doubled. That's what a strong dot does. It doubles the letter in which it's found in. And the way in which we break it down in Hebrew, let me just do that before we end the hour. You go CVC, you draw the line through that gimel, implying that the gimel is doubled. Second syllable is CV, third syllable is CVC. And the accent is over the short vowel here, open syllable, unaccented, is irregular, gets the accent. And as I look at that word Igeret, this is a segulate noun, only it's feminine segulate. And the feminine segulate nouns don't follow the rules of the masculine, which have that combination of the shva, the kamatz, the kirkud mem.
What pattern do they follow? The feminine singular nouns.
The plural of this word Igeret is Igarot. And I guess if you got other segulate nouns that end with a segotav, should follow the same rules.
Kol hakavod.
I'm trying to think of another word. The word moledet. Let me double check to see if the dictionary has the word moledet. You see, this is what happens. You get into something so seriously, it doesn't end and presents new problems. Remember before I was hesitant with a segulate feminine?
Yeah.
And how the word Igeret comes about. But how many more segulate nouns do we have that are feminine? And then the question is there a special formula for the plural? I want to check that word moledet. Moledet means a birth. This is a learning process for both the instructor and the viewer. Okay, we're getting close to it. At least I think I am.
Now you can think about it and we'll do it in the next class, but we're almost.
Yeah, we can, but let me just double check for myself right now. Nope, does not have the word. Does not have it. Okay. No, okay. Or maybe, Professor Garber, you're creating a word.
Hebronics, the Hebrew language.
Other words not here. Okay. Hi, Baruch.